much. Hey, John, nice to see you.
John, still going to move on one. Still Bill. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, move 1. Go, Bill.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our Roundtable Series, Goals Behind the Game, presented by Northwell. I'm Bill Pito. It's so great to have you with us. There's a 13-year partnership between Northwell and MSG. Military Appreciation Night, presented by Northwell, the official healthcare partner of the New York Rangers. We have 3 amazing individuals with us, all with inspirational stories, all with ties to Northwell and the military. We say hello to Dr. John D'Angelo, CEO and president of Northwell Health, a doctor and a U.S. Army veteran. Doctor, great to see you.
Thanks for having me.
Alyssa Bachtal, a veteran of the U.S. Army Reserves and a paralegal for pharmaceutical services. Alyssa, great to have you with us.
Thankful to be here.
And Juan Serrano, a VP of Military Liaison Services at Northwell and a veteran of the United States Marines. Juan, great to see you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So, Doctor, why is a partnership between the Rangers and Northwell Health so important?
I think it just amplifies the story, the reach, gets the message out there that collectively both organizations care deeply about those that served us, and we care about their overall health and well-being, and we're going to go out of our way to make sure they get whatever they need, and as a show of our appreciation for what they've done for us.
So tell us about your story. Tell us about your military story and how that has evolved into a career at Northwell Health.
Sure. So I'm an emergency medicine physician by background. I grew up right here in New York. I've always been inspired by the notion of service. I think that's what led me into medicine and being a doctor. My dad was a U.S. Navy veteran. My grandfather was a U.S. Army veteran. A few years after being out of residency and being in practice full-time, got a postcard about a new program that the Army was structuring for physicians. They needed physicians in the military reserves, and just felt like the right time. So in August of 2000 is when I joined the reserves, and I was in through 2011. I was glad to do my little part to serve.
How about you, Alyssa?
Yeah, so I actually didn't have any military connections. So if you asked me in high school, like, would I go into the military? I would tell you no, that's not something I would ever think of doing. But at some point, my sister decided to join the Air Force. And I was like, why not? If she could do it, I could do better. And so I joined the Army because I figured the challenge would make me a better person and grow me in ways that regular life couldn't. And so I joined the Army Reserves. I did Title 10 active duty orders once in a while and decided at some point, hey, I want to serve a bigger population. Not that I don't want to serve the currently serving, but I wanted to do more with my life. And I found Northwell, who gladly adopted me into their system. And I love the workplace here, and it's everything that I ever dreamed it to be.
Great story. How about you, Juan?
So I grew up in Queens. I enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in August of 2000. I served in the United States Marine Corps for 9 years, deployed to Iraq in 2 occasions, 5 deployments in total. Unfortunately, in 2004, I was in a Humvee rollover, fractured my neck, and I was medically discharged from the Marines. So I got to experience a lot of the setbacks and difficulties of reintegrating back into civilian life. And I was very fortunate because I was approached by, at the time, some of the recruiters from Northwell who believed that there may be a career path for me in healthcare. And I was introduced to a world I wasn't aware existed, and fell in love with the idea of giving, fulfilling my next mission.
You know, you're talking about the challenges of integrating in society after your service. The Northwell Health Military Liaison Services is a remarkable organization. Doctor, tell us how this evolved and why it's so important.
My personal story with Northwell was when I was mobilized in 2003. I was a frontline ED doc at Glen Cove Hospital, one of our community hospitals. I worked at several of the hospitals on Long Island at that time. And I remember writing Michael Dowling, the former CEO, a letter. Never met Michael in my life. And I simply asked if Northwell would consider a program that I've heard about in other organizations where you would cover the gap between military and civilian pay. He wrote me back and said, absolutely, we're going to do this. And I was fortunately the first recipient of that program back in 2003. And that sparked now the existence of that program, which is still one of our centerpieces today. We've covered over several $1 million worth of commitment to covering the gap between our team members' pay if they're earning less when they go on active duty. So since then, the program's grown, and under Juan's leadership, it's grown tremendously to more than just financial support. It's how do you help people assimilate back into civilian life? How do you create opportunities? So that's why the military liaison programs are so important.
And how has Northwell worked specifically to make this transition, which can be very challenging, easier for people that need to make the transition?
So I think it's important to point out that regardless of whether you spend 4 years or 30 years in the military, you have little to no exposure to the private sector. And once you leave service, you have this commitment to duty, these leadership skills.
The structure of being in the service doesn't really exist in civilian life all the time, right?
It is not. And I think that is one of the biggest issues with military as they return back to civilian life, because they're coming back to a place that they know and love, but they know very little about the journey. Right? So it was incumbent upon us to create pathways that were tangible opportunities for them to reintegrate back into civilian life, where they had access to care and services, where they had a group of individuals that understood what are the difficulties and the setbacks associated to reintegrating back into civilian life. It was not just about providing a physician, but also careers, help them to translate the military skill sets into language that HR could understand. And Alyssa can tell you a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I was a human resources specialist in the Army, and of course, you would think that some of these skills that you get while in the service would help translate to the civilian world, but sometimes it isn't enough, unfortunately. There's only so much that you can actually bring because we use completely different systems. And so coming out of service, it was a little bit of a struggle, like finding a job, for example. Like the term as it goes is finding a job is a full-time job in itself. And without the military liaison services being there, I do believe that it might have been an extending struggle to continue at least finding a job where I could support myself outside of the military.
Now, Northwell has presented Military Appreciation Night since the origin of the partnership between MSG and the Rangers. It's such an important night. It's such a powerful night. What does it mean to you, Doctor, Military Appreciation Night?
I think every day should be Military Appreciation Day, but it's a real night to celebrate those that have made that ultimate sacrifice and have raised their hand and have made a commitment to protect and serve every one of us. So it's just one way, one small way of just celebrating their sacrifice and their commitment and thanking them for what they've done.
Juan, what are some of the moments that have stood out to you over the years, because you've been a part of many of these nights?
It's just the commitment, right, that this organization has for military at every level. And that commitment, the love and support that Northwell provides to military is matched by the New York Rangers. And for a service member like myself, watching other veterans being recognized for the service, it's just a clear message that your service matter, you matter, and that you have a group of individuals that are ready and willing to stand side by side with you every step of the way. And I think that sports provides a tremendous vehicle for this and bring us together.
Alyssa, what would you say about the importance of what these nights mean to the veteran community and other communities at large?
I think nights like this kind of bring up the fact that military veterans shouldn't be afraid of showing who they are in the service that they've provided for this country. I know that I've found a lot of people who I talk to, like, not necessarily hide it in a way, but they don't like to disclose it because they don't feel it is something that is actually as appreciated as I think it should be.
Juan, what do you want veterans to know about Northwell?
We'd like them to know that this organization has set a movement to change the way how companies and communities view, treat, and serve them. And if there's any opportunity for us to connect with them, we're going to stand side by side with them and assist them through every step of their life after service journey. And it's not just with employment, but with health. Oftentimes, you lose your sense of community, and we are here to serve you. That's what we're here for.
Any future goals for the partnership going forward?
I think it's to continue to spread the word. It's to have outreach, as Juan said. It's not about just employment. Yeah, we hire a ton of veterans, and we're proud to do so. But more importantly, how do we drive folks' overall health and well-being, and whether it's connecting them to care, connecting them to support groups, connecting them with other community members that they can build a network with. It's about the mind, body, and soul of our veterans and making sure they're being well cared for. But I'd like to thank MSG, the partnership, Northwell Health, my predecessor, Michael Dowling, for starting us on this journey and answering my letter 23 years ago.
Juan, Dr. D'Angelo, and Alyssa, so great to see you. Thank you so much for dropping by. Thanks for all that you have done, and thanks for all that you do. And it's been so great to have you here on our Roundtable series, Goals Behind the Game, presented by Northwell. We'll see you soon, everybody.